Hello, my name is Linda Dolke and I am a demonstrator with Stampin'up here in Australia. Today we're making a cute little window card. It's actually this one here, and the little mermaid, as you can see, is pictured in the window there. And I just want to show you how I created the window, because window cards are easy, but a lot of people have been asking me how it's done. So here we go. So today's card is this cute little window card. I have used the Magical Day stamp set to make this one, and as you can see, I've got a cute little window here with a piece of acetate in the window, and I used our fabulous foil acetate because I wanted it to look like water, and these scallops kind of look like water to me. Well, they could if you use your imagination. The awesome thing about the foil acetate is it's silver on one side and gold on the other. Now that does mean that we have gold on the inside of my card, and I actually haven't finished off the back of my card really. If you didn't want the pink that's on the back of this sparkly piece here, which is this paper here, see how it's pink on the back? If you didn't want that showing, I could cut another piece of Pool Party, the same color as this, and pop it on at the back so that hides that piece. But I've left it as it is so you could see what it would look like if you didn't do that. This is the Magical Day stamp set. It's got all these fantastic little creatures. We've got dragons and unicorns, a wizard, a knight, and a mermaid, and a couple of great words. And how cute is this little seahorse? And there's even fire that comes out of the dragon's mouth, and there's even a framelit, believe it or not, to cut that out. So these are great too. The framelets cut out all the little creatures, which is fabulous because you don't have to fussy cut them, and that makes them really easy to use. So it is a bundle in the Current Occasions catalogue, and if you've got anyone who's into fantasy or magic, or kids who love fairy tales and stories, and who doesn't, then this is a great set. So how to do the window. The window is super easy. I've started with a piece of Pool Party cardstock here, and I've just folded that in half. So this is actually a piece of A4 cardstock cut in half, and then that piece folded in half to make the front of the card. And I'm actually going to start with showing you how I did the actual window, and it is actually really easy. So I'm going to bring my big shot in, get those out of the way, and I will put it this way to make it easier for you to see. If anyone's having trouble, it does wobble the table when I use it. I apologize for that, but it's not too bad, so stick with it. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut the hole in your card for the window, and for that one we actually want I'm using the layering circles, which are these lovely framelits here. There are actually 16 in the pack, and I've actually pulled out the 3 that I need. I need the very largest scallop and then the 2 largest circles. Okay, so these ones, as you can see, fit one inside the other, and I want the smaller one to cut the front of my card and the bigger one to cut the acetate. So what we're going to do is we're going to open our card up, and believe me, that's very important, because if you try and cut it with the card closed, you'll cut through both layers and you won't have a window card, you'll just have a tunnel right through your card. And position this where you think you'd like it. It's completely up to you. I usually like to have roughly the same amount of distance here at the side as at the top and as at the other side, so it's kind of centered in the top half of the card. And I'm going to put my cutting plate on the top here, and I'm going to run that through to make the hole, to make the circle. With these simple shapes, you don't need to run it back and forth. One time through the big shot is fine, and that will cut out our window for us, and I can use that circle for something else. Okay, so now I have my circle, my window. And then I also need to cut a piece of acetate. So this is the foil acetate that I'm using, like the one I showed before. And I want this one to be the biggest circle, so the biggest straight circle. And I am going to cut through that with that circle, position it on. With acetate, it's thicker. You may not need to go back and forth, but I do, just to make sure it's cut all the way through. It's thicker than cardstock and a little harder for the big shot to cut through. Not so hard though, as you can see, because it does a pretty good job. I'll pop that to one side. So right now we have a window. We now have an acetate piece that's a little bigger than the hole. Okay, and we're also going to cut the silver, the glitter frame for my piece. So for that, you can do both at the same time, or you can do one at a time. I find it's easy enough to do both at the same time. So I'm going to position my big piece, and then I'm going to use the smaller of the circles. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do them separate. I'll do the smaller of those two large circles. I'm going to do first, because with the scallop edge, there's really not quite enough room to run those through together. So, pardon me for saying you could. All right, so I always cut glimmer paper, unless I'm doing words or something that needs to go a certain way. I always cut it from the back. I find it cuts more easily from the back. Okay, so now I have the circle I actually don't need. I'm going to actually use the piece that's left behind, because what I want to do is I've cut the circle. Now I'm going to position my scallop over the outside like this, and that is going to cut the frame. And I'm just going to run that one through as well. Sorry about the wobbling. It's a tight squeeze with the glimmer paper because it is thicker than your regular cardstock. So you do need to use a little bit of muscle when you push it through. Alright, so now we have a frame. Okay, I'm going to pop those aside for a bit. So we've got the frame, we've got the circle. Now while I'm at it, while I've got the big shot here, I'm also going to do this bit of water. And what I've done for this is I've got some of the Myths and Magic Designer Series paper, which is all sparkly. It's really cute. Lots of different, like there's even sparkly mermaids and sparkly dragons in there. They are super, super cute. And I'm going to pull out, this time I'm using the Rainbow Builder dies. So these are a totally different set that make rainbows and clouds and things. But when I was making my clouds, I realized, yes, it could make clouds, but if I use it up the other way, it could also be used for water. So I'm actually going to do it like this. I'm going to run that through. Wobble, wobble. Sorry, guys. And now I have what looks a little bit like water. Can you see that? It's kind of a watery look. And then I'm going to get my smaller circle, the ones we used before. So the smaller circle, if I put it on here, you can see that that is actually the right size for that. So I'm actually going to cut this piece that I've already got that edge on, and I'm going to run that through with the circle as well, the smaller of those large circles that I'm using. Oh, there we go. Right, so now I've got this piece, okay. All right, I'm just thinking, do I need it for anything else? No, I think all my big shotting is done. Let's move that out of the way. All right, so there's a couple of different ways you can do this, but I find it easier to assemble the piece on top here, just like this, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use glue dots, which I should have had right next to me, but I didn't. And let's put a few glue dots around the edge of our frame. So you can see I'm kind of working around the frame, just making sure that there's a few here and there, maybe one more. All right. And then I'm going to turn it up this way, and I'm going to position my frame on, well, my acetate over my frame. So now I have this little frame, okay. I'm also going to use a glue dot I've got my glue dots at the moment. I've got them tied up just to keep track of the tab, and someone did that the other day when they were here. So I'm just putting these on the edge. Now I want my scallopy bits to go up, like as if they were water. And I'm just going to position this on here like this. Okay, if it's not quite in the right position, you can reposition it with the acetate. It won't damage the acetate, so I can move it around. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, now I'm not going to actually stamp and colour in the mermaid. Here's one I prepared earlier so you can see, and she is really, really cute. I've used raspberry blends, Stampin' Blends, and it gets blended into the pink pirouette, and then I've given her some I was going to say blonde hair, but really it's yellow, isn't it? And she's going to go tucked in here somewhere like this, and I pop a little glue dot behind her just to keep her in place as well. All right, so that's where she'll end up. A really nice tip for her, if you have any, Wink of Stella over her tail looks fantastic and gives her a real glittery look. There you go. I don't know if you can see that, but she's all sparkly now. Oops, I missed a bit. There we go. All right, so she's just about ready to go. And then I'm going to use the glue dots in the same way as I did before to attach them to the front of here. So this time I'm going to get my glue dots on the back of my frame. Here and there, around they go. Make sure you've got as many as you think you need so you won't have much in the way of gaps. And I'm going to position this because it's acetate, you can actually see where you're going. So it actually makes it quite easy to position. I only put it down very lightly though. I don't really push it down yet. I just want to make sure it looks all right from the other side, and it does. And I'm just going to push that down. And we'll give her a glue dot and pop her behind here as well. And there she is. Okay. On this card you can see I finished it off. I actually borrowed her. I borrowed her from here. I've used washi tape across the bottom here, or there's actually 2 pieces of washi tape. I love this Myths and Magic washi tape with the sparkly stars and the stripes. And then I've actually used another piece of this paper, a strip of that across the bottom as well. I added some of the little seahorses and some bubbles. And this You Are One of a Kind is also from the same stamp set, this one here, and I cut it out. The Magical Mates framelets have this little banner that is just perfect for cutting that out. So that's how I've cut this one through my Big Shot, and that's how I finished it off. There you go. It is actually quite a simple card, but it looks really, really great and is really effective, and everyone loves a window. Don't forget, if you don't like the pink on the back here, or you wanted to cover this up, you can cut just a white shape if you wish, or you can, and down here you could always just put some Pool Party cardstock to cover that. It doesn't particularly bother me, and I'm using it as a sample anyway, but if you wanted to send it someone and cover that, you certainly could. I hope you've enjoyed that today. Just a quick little one, and you'll have a window card that you can use for either the Magical Mates and Magical Day stamps, or anything really. Really, window cards are always good. See you guys. Bye.